Do they mean anything? Andrew had given a small shrug, but a fever lit beneath his skin at the praise. They're just meant to hurt. Like a paper cut, a tiny sting that meant nothing more than, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. Thomas was the only one who understood the stories. Andrew's father didn't. Even Dove didn't, which felt like a betrayal since they were twins. She sat in the front passenger seat of the BMW, her arms folded and her posture stiff. She was locked in a frosty war of silence with their father. Over what, Andrew had no idea, but they wouldn't even acknowledge each other. They looked like twins, Andrew and Dove. Pale skin, honey gold hair, brown eyes, and not much height difference between them. But Dove was a statue of glittering ice, beautiful and dangerous and impossible to reshape, while Andrew was more like a collection of skeleton leaves, fragile and crumbling. Dove was the one everyone saw, and Andrew was the one they forgot. She wore the Wickwood uniform of white-collared shirt and tie, deep green blazer and plaid skirt, not a single button or wisp of hair out of place. Dove had the graceful poise of someone expecting to stand before an auditorium and give a valedictorian speech while cameras flashed, immortalizing her as an example of perfection. She'd be fine this senior year. She'd own it. Andrew suspected this year would beat him up in a back alley and leave him for dead. Already his stomach felt knotted, but he told himself he'd calm down when they arrived. Thomas would be waiting with his freckled cheekbones and troublesome scowl, forever angry at everyone except the Perrault twins. He was theirs, and they his. The three of them had been this way since they met. The car's tires rolled from smooth road to crunching gravel, and Andrew pressed even closer to the window. His heartbeat sped up. Here was Wickwood, grown from the forests and thorns of middle-of-nowhere Virginia. Cars and buses filled the circular driveway, and students flooded the marble front stairs alongside baggage and fretting parents. As their car crawled forward, looking for a place to park, Andrew searched for Thomas. Nothing. He glanced at his phone. His heart still gave a small jolt at the sight of the scars crisscrossing his skin, thin as cobwebs, from fingers to wrist. It didn't hurt anymore. He barely remembered how they had happened. He checked for texts, knowing there'd be none since Thomas had broken his phone a week into summer vacation. Andrew pulled up their last exchange and chewed his lip. Phones, pretty muv, smashes, exix, typos, I'll see you when school's back. Andrew had taken an excruciatingly long time to think up a reply that didn't sound panicked. An entire summer. No talking. Thomas could email, except he never did. Andrew had texted, "How did you break it this time?" "Well, Dad did. Hit my head with it, then throw it at wall. It's about to die, cab charge, don't freak out." How the hell was Andrew meant to not freak out? It wasn't the first time Thomas had offhandedly mentioned something like this happening, though it seemed the violence was shocking to Andrew alone, but he couldn't stop thinking of how much it would have hurt. Or if Thomas's father had concussed him with a blow like that. Or about the long weeks where worse things could happen to a boy with a sour mouth who never knew when to stop. Thomas had that in common with Dove. You'd have better luck softening stone. Andrew's father pulled up behind an unloading bus and left the engine running. The chaos of hundreds of voices thrummed against the window. Andrew hesitated, fingers on the door handle. As intense as it was out there, it would be better than the strangling tension in here. Andrew. His father studied his hands as if they'd been welded to the steering wheel. There are other schools. Andrew shoved open his door. Andrew. The sigh was frustrated, but also tired, and it made Andrew slump back into his seat and let the car door thump shut. They'd had fractured variations of this conversation before, and he hated it. Last year had been... It didn't matter. It was over. Andrew wasn't changing schools. His life was here. He looked out the window again for Thomas. Fine, then listen. The muscle in his father's...